All right, guys, we've got one more crop of second rounders. That's right. 9 guys are currently projected to go in the second round at the receiver position. Receivers rule this draft, quite simply, especially at the top. So look for these guys to get called in the early half of day 2, starting with Roman Wilson of the Michigan Wolverines. National championships abound for Roman Wilson, 23 when the season starts, 5'11", 185 pounds, so a little bit small. 30 and 3/8 inch arms, 9 and 3/8 inch hands, kind of small. Ran a real good 40. I think that was a little bit eye-opening. Sub 4.4, good acceleration. 12 bench press reps is whatever, not great, but nice little showcase of his athleticism. Maybe a little bit more than people were expecting based on what he did at Michigan. Big boards mostly put him in the second, some put him in the third. The aggregate puts him in the late to mid second, which I think is reasonable. Performed well last year when you remember how much Michigan doesn't throw the ball. 48 catches, almost 800 yards and 12 touchdowns, only 1 drop. He's doing what he can. The situation isn't going to allow him to eat the way that some receivers do. So Roman Wilson, he's got a good top speed and he's got good acceleration. He gets very suddenly to his top speed. So I like his speed and acceleration. He fights through traffic to make a catch, even though he's a little bit smaller. He plays physically. He's got great hands. Very rarely does he drop a pass. And he can use his speed to generate big yards after the catch. He's somebody who can not necessarily break a bunch of tackles, but he is going to find a way to use his speed to generate a play after the play. Impressive all-around athlete. I think people kind of underestimated how good of an athlete Roman Wilson would be because he was playing in a run-first offense. So I think that combine tuned some people into the fact that this guy can fly too. This guy, he's a little bit of a burner. I don't love his route running. He needs a lot of work with his route running. Needs to get a lot more sudden, a lot more subtle, a lot more abrupt with his breaks. Needs to stop rounding off his routes. So I think that's an area where he needs to improve. Doesn't beat press at the line well. Another trait that makes you wonder, should he go in the slot? Maybe this is just a slot receiver. Because part of beating press when you're smaller is route running. He doesn't have the gears that we talk about. He's not somebody who shifts between different levels of speed to throw off defenders. He's somebody who just is either standing still or sprinting. So that's an aspect of his game he needs to add to. And he's not somebody who has a really good feel of zone defense. The guys who just find the hole and sit down. Roman Wilson tends to kind of drift into the coverage a little bit, which we do not like here. Nevertheless, Roman Wilson has really kind of made a name for himself over the last few months, I feel like. People have kind of stopped thinking about him as just an anonymous receiver on a run-first team. But they've started to look at him as a guy who is clearly going to be a better pro than he was a collegiate player, because he'll find a team that actually throws the ball more in all likelihood. Great speed, great acceleration, his ball skills are good. I imagine that Roman Wilson is going to find NFL success out of Michigan. I do. So I don't love it in the second round, but I would do it in the second round. I think the aggregate has it about right. He's borderline top 50 in this draft for me. I like a lot of what he's bringing to the table here. So I would go borderline top 50 for Roman Wilson. And yeah, he's worth the second round pick all day long. All right. So that's it for Roman Wilson. Let's take a look at a couple other second round projected guys, starting with Devontez Walker. So Devontez Walker playing with Drake May over in North Carolina, 23 when the season starts. Okay size, 6'1.5", but only 193 pounds. Long arms, 33 1/4, 9 1/8 hands. Nice testing. Ran a 4.36 40. Flies. Really amazing vert, amazing broad. Okay acceleration. So he's an athlete. He can move. He can move in the ways you desire as an athlete. Big boards, the ones that I use pretty much all put him in the third round, but the aggregate has him in the second. So the smaller big boards are boosting him. So we'll see which one ends up being right when we get to the draft. Is he going to go in the third or the second? Aggregate says late second. Disappointing 2023. Didn't produce the way people were hoping. I think he missed some time, granted, but 700 yards after a season where he had over 900. went down from 11 touchdowns to 7 touchdowns. PFF grade fell. So I think we can say he was a little bit of a disappointment playing with such a prolific quarterback. There's an opportunity for him to put up monster numbers, and he didn't have it. He had better numbers in 2022 by a pretty wide margin. So Devontez Walker, great running deep routes, burns up the field. He's got the speed to beat over the top. He's got the ability to separate deep down the field. Massive catch radius as well. He uses his long arms really well. If you throw the ball in his general area, he's going to make a play on it at the very least. He fights through physical coverage well. He's not one of these soft guys who can't deal with contact. He can fight through physical coverage and still make a play on the ball. He builds separation when he's running his route, especially his deep routes, and he maintains his separation by stacking the defensive back and using his body to maintain the fact that he is open throughout the entire rep. You throw him a 50-50 ball, he's going to win it more than 50% of the time. He wins his 50-50 battles a lot, and just generally speaking, he's a super explosive big play machine. He is going to make a lot of big plays in this league, it feels like. So, going to be an exciting X factor at the minimum. His route running is not where it needs to be. His footwork on his routes leaves a lot to be desired. It's that thing where you take extra steps when you're in your break. You don't snap your break off cleanly. You don't throw in a lot of extra sauce to make defenders think you're going a different way than you actually are. It's all these little things that add up. He's just not a very good route runner. He doesn't track the ball the way you would love, like deep routes, right? Deep routes are a big part of his game. He's got tremendous speed. He's got the ability to explode down the field the way that you love. So it's all there, but tracking the ball over his shoulder can be a challenge sometimes. And there were some plays he left on the field because of that. His 2023 production, like I said, was a disappointment, and he has dropped double-digit passes over the last 2 years, despite missing some time. Like, this guy has 10 drops and less than 100 catches. That's a drop rate you don't like to deal with. So, he's a really fun athlete, really intriguing, but I don't feel like he's really a full receiver yet. I feel like there's a lot that needs to be worked out in his game to get him to where he needs to go, and he's already 23. So, if he was 21, I'd like it a little bit more. I still like it because he's a freak athlete. He probably will figure it out, but he's got to refine his routes. He's got to improve his hands, and he's got to improve his ball tracking so he can take advantage of his downfield speed. If he can do that, then he's everything you could look for. But I don't think I'm going to draft him until round 3 personally, which isn't that different than the aggregate, but I think he's a third-round guy. I think that the non-sured element here, it makes him a third-rounder. Okay, one last second-rounder, Malachi Corley of Western Kentucky, and then we'll be moving on to the third-round guys starting later today. 22, 5'11", 215 pounds, so a little bit short, but he's got some girth. 32 and an eighth arms, 9 and an eighth hands, so measurements are pretty good. Some of the big boards put him in the third, mostly put him in the third, actually. CBS was the only major one that put him in the second. But the aggregate puts him in the second for now. So the smaller big boards are pushing him up just a little bit. Crazy good production the last 2 years for Western Kentucky. 180 catches. 2,300 receiving yards. 12 touchdowns. 11 of them in the most recent year. 9 drops. I mean, when you have 180 catches, 9 drops is certainly a little more understandable. Really good PFF grades. So the production is great. There's a lot that he does when he's running routes. There's a lot in his bag of tricks. A lot of stuff that he can throw at a defender to throw him off and win the rep and build separation. Just a lot of little understanding of how to use like deceptive footwork, deceptive hips. There's a lot of things that he does when he runs routes that I like. Even though he's a little bit shorter, he uses that to his advantage because once he gets the ball, he kind of turns into a power back. He starts powering through people. Starts just running through tacklers like he's a running back because in some ways he is built like a running back. His catch radius is good. You throw him the ball, he's going to make a play on it. High level of production over an extended period of time. He had good production in 2021, by the way. Takes a beating and keeps going. He's somebody who you can give the ball to a lot, and he holds up and keeps going. He's not somebody who's going to wear down immediately, so you can throw him the ball 12 times in a game, and he'll take that challenge on. He's another guy who does struggle a little bit to understand how to settle down in zone and just wait for the ball to come to him when he finds the opening. He drifts into coverage. He struggles to find the opening sometimes. He doesn't win catches in traffic very much. If he gets contacted while trying to make the catch, it'll get broken up a lot. He is a really good route runner, but the snap when he's breaking it off is not quite as sudden as you would like. Like, there are things in his route running that are great, a lot of things that he does to throw the defense off, but his route breaks are just a little bit slow, I feel like. He rounds them off a little bit. So, another Debo, another guy who can play like Debo, very clearly going to find success in the NFL, I think. I wish he was more physical at the point of catch because he is somebody who plays physically generally. But with the way the league is right now, these guys find success. So late second rounder, I'm all over it. If he's there in the second round and I'm a team that needs somebody like him, I am all over it. So Malachi Corley, really nice prospect. Like him a lot. Understand the appeal 100%. All right, that's it for the second round receivers. Again, there are 9 of them right now. And remember, there are 5 first round guys. So this draft is a machine that eats prospects and spits out wide receivers or something like that. I don't know. But a lot of good receivers. Again, it's almost too bad that receivers probably our best position because some of these guys would look great in a Seahawks jersey, but I just can't make it make sense. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think down below. More receivers coming soon.